We are on the record for hearings in the matters listed in the North Dakota Industrial Commission hearing docket for June 20th. I'm David Garner, hearing examiner for these hearings. We're at the hearing room for the Department of Mineral Resources, Oil and Gas Division, and it is 9 a.m. On the docket, the following matters will be continued or dismissed. Case number 30991 dismissed. Case number 30152 continued. Case number 30914 continued. Case number 30863 dismissed. Case number 30992 continued. Case number 30854 continued. 30914 continued. Case number 30921 continued. Case number 30922 continued. Case number 30923 continued. Case number 30784 continued. Case number 30786 continued. Case number 30787 continued. The administrative docket starts on page 3 with case number 30993. It goes through case number 30997 and also includes cases on the administrative docket, case numbers 30784 through 30853. These cases will be heard in the next room with Michael Zish. Audio recordings of the cases on the administrative docket will be placed on the Oil and Gas website by the end of the week. If you wish to appear in one of the matters on the administrative docket, please appear in the next room. If there is opposition to the matter, it will be brought back into this hearing room to be heard. In your statements and evidence will be taken. We will begin with moving to case number 30854. Nope, sorry. Case number 30986. In the matter of a hearing called on a motion of the Commission to consider the termination, reduction, or any other appropriate action of the Glass Bluff Madison Unit, McKenzie and Williams Counties, North Dakota, operated by Liberty Resources Management Company, LLC, to review the Glass Bluff Madison Unit bond amount required for the operation of said unit pursuant to NDAC 43020315, to review the requirements set forth in orders number 32614 and 32615 that required 8 certain wells to be returned to production in paying quantities or plugged and abandoned, required 7 wells to be reclaimed or compliant, required a compliance plan for pipelines and production equipment, and required isolation of perforations in the DM Iverson 131 well, and such of the relief as is appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Lawrence Bender, P.O. Box 1855, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in case 30986 on behalf of Liberty Resources Management Company, LLC. As you're aware, Mr. Examiner, this case was placed on the docket by the Commission, but a representative of Liberty is here to present some exhibits and hopefully respond to all the matters that were raised in the caption of the docket. We'll be calling Dr. Mark Pearson, and he's present with us in the hearing room to testify.
Dr. Pearson, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Can you state your full name for the record, please?
Christopher Mark Pearson.
And by whom are you employed?
Liberty Resources Management Company.
And in what capacity?
As President and CEO.
And in that capacity, you've testified before the Commission previously, have you not?
I have.
In fact, it was a case similar to what's on the docket today, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And in preparation for today's hearing, have you prepared or have prepared under your control and supervision some exhibits you intend to sponsor?
I have.
For the further testimony, this witness that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Dr. Pearson, let's turn to the packet of exhibits. Let's skip the first page and go to what's been marked as Exhibit S1. And I'll just let the Commission staff know that this is broken up into 2 parts. And what I'd like you to do, Dr. Pearson, is spend, some time, obviously, on the matters that are above the dash line, but I think concentrate more on what's below the dash line.
Thank you, Councillor. We have a timeline here from the matters concerning the Glass Bluff Madison unit from when we first appeared in October of 2021. We testified in case 29009 of a plan to perform plugging and reclamation wells on 9 wells in the Glass Bluff Madison unit that were in TA or abandoned status. In November of that year, the NDIC issued Order 31560. The order required a $2.4 million bond and 9 wells to be plugged and abandoned by June 1, 2023. We immediately, forthwith, submitted to the NDIC a $2,400,000 surety rider bond number that is listed there. In May of 2022, we started submitting procedures to the NDIC, and the NDIC approved 5 of 9 of those wells and the plugging procedures. Liberty sent AFEs for approval to our working interest partners. In the following month, we were approached by an investment bank who had potential clients interested in acquiring the Glass Bluff Madison units, and that engagement led to discussions with multiple prospective buyers, who also, a number of whom also visited the field to inspect all the operations. In July 2022, Rocky Top Energy was identified as the leading entity to acquire the Glass Bluff Madison unit, and in August of that year, Liberty executed a letter of intent with Rocky Top to sell and transfer operations to them. In October of 2022, the NDIC was notified of the potential sale of the unit, and in December of 2022, an acquisition agreement and assignment and transition services agreement was executed between Liberty and Rocky Top Energy, where Liberty would remain as a contract operator for the field with Rocky Top as the new owner. In December, Rocky Top submitted cash in lieu of a bond for $2.4 million and $100,000, but the bond number was not issued by NDIC, who requested hearing with Liberty and Rocky Top Energy on the 9 wells left from order number 31560. In January, NDIC hearing case number 29807, Rocky Top testified to their plan to return the 9 wells to production from the original order 31560. Rocky Top Energy submitted supplemental exhibits in February with RTP plans for the first 4 wells, TA future potential plans for 4 wells, and agreed that after further review, one of those wells should be P&A'd, the Big River number 1 well. In April 2023, 14 months ago, I appeared before the commission here and testified in that hearing case to review the requirements set forth in the original document. At subsequent NDIC hearings, I have heard it questioned if Liberty had notified the potential buyers, and specifically the contracted buyer, Rocky Top, about all the P&A requirements and prior orders. I would like to go on record as stating that unequivocally we communicated all of the NDIC's orders and requirements in the operation of the Glass Bluff Madison unit, and I actually take offense to any innuendo or discussion that Liberty did anything but be forthright and honest in its dealings with other potential parties. In September of 2023, order number 32614 was issued, and order number 32615, which included the rescission of order number 31560, that Liberty and its assigns and successors shall return the remaining 8 wells of the 9, which had not been P&A'd, the Big River 1 well having already been P&A'd. They should be returned to production in paying quantities or plug and abandoned pursuant to the NDIC code. And we were given a date of June 1, 2024 in order to do that work. Again, a note, these are the 8 wells of the same 8 remaining wells of the original 9 from the order. We also had a note that the 26 wells referenced included all the wells that had not been released from Liberty's bonds. From October 2023 to March of 2024, a 6-month period, Liberty repeatedly and unsuccessfully tried to contact and work with Rocky Top Energy to ensure that the bond and Form 15 was submitted and approved. We did periodically receive communications through the investment banker who had brokered the deal with explanations of company reorganizations, promises that bonds would be filed with the commission within the month, and the like, while we waited and never directly talked with Rocky Top. In April and May of 2024, due to the inaction and lack of communication by Rocky Top, Liberty initiated P&A work on the remaining 8 wells in order to comply with the order, and completed the downhole plugging on all required wells to meet the June 1 deadline. Surface reclamation operations were started and are continuing as of now. And earlier this month, we notified Rocky Top Energy of our rescission of the assumption agreement, and we filed an affidavit of rescission in McKenzie and Williams County due to Rocky Top's continued failure to comply with their obligations under the agreements.
And was the filing of that rescission, was that done after numerous attempts to contact Rocky Top that failed?
Correct.
Okay. Let's go on to the next exhibit, Dr. Pearson, Exhibit S2. Can you tell us what that is, first of all, and then briefly discuss what's contained upon it?
That is an update table of the downhole operations to be compliant with the P&A order. 8 remaining wells there. We have the date that the P&A procedure was approved by the commission, the date that we completed our downhole operations, and the current status that we have submitted North Star plug reports on all 8 of the wells. 2 of them we have heard back from the commission that they have been approved, and 6 of them are pending approval by the commission.
And these are the 8 wells that you referenced in the previous exhibit, is that correct? That needed to be plugged prior to June 1, 2024.
That is correct, sir.
All right, then let's go to S3.
S3 is a table updating the equipment removal and surface reclamation and pipelines that have been flushed and witnessed. You can see that 3 of the wells did not have any pipelines attached to them. 5 of them did, and that work was all completed in April and May of this year. The NDIC pipeline abandonment affidavit has been submitted earlier this month on all of those pipelines. Our equipment removal work, you can see that we have been removing tanks. We have completed soil sampling where requested and where needed. And at the road work, we have, I believe it's 4 roads that are not required, or that there's no road that exists. And then the feedback from the landowners and the current status of our road reclamation work.
So in addition to plugging these wells, Liberty is moving forward with the appropriate reclamation that needs to be done, removal of equipment, et cetera. Is that a fair statement?
That is correct, sir.
Let's go to S4.
S4 is a table for the 7 wells that were previously P&A'd but have not been released from the bond yet. The names of the wells are listed there, of the 7 wells, the date that we P&A'd them. You can see that they were P&A'd. 6 of them were P&A'd in 2019 and 2020. The 7th well was the Big River 1 well, which was P&A'd in June of 2023. We recently received comments from the commission in May, and the far right-hand column is our current compliance plan, and our plan that to fully have these monitored and assessed, and we are hopeful that the commission can see through this summer and this fall releasing these wells from the bond.
Right, and S5.
S5 is a compliance plan of production equipment and pipeline infrastructure for the eight wells that were covered by the order. It lists the pipeline service, whether it had any or whether it has been abandoned. For the active wells, whether there is a pipeline or whether there's an active pipeline involved there. And we also list our central tank batteries. The production equipment, where there are pumping units, that their removal is in process. And where there is not a pumping unit, we have noted that. And the same for the tanks and the treaters.
Okay, and, excuse me, S6.
S6 is a summary of our pipeline infrastructure as part of our compliance plan for the 8 wells requiring P&A in the orders 32614 and 32615. All 5 pipeline segments have been flushed, capped, and abandoned in April and May of this year. For our water injection, collection, and distribution infrastructure, all 5 pipelines segments have been flushed, capped, and abandoned. And there are 4 individual well pipelines that remain in service, and these are tested annually and witnessed by the NDIC inspectors.
All right, let's go to S7. What I'd like you to do on this exhibit, as you've done with some of the previous exhibits, is first identify it and then briefly discuss what's contained upon it and the importance of this exhibit to the matter that's on the docket today.
The gray outline is the outline of the unit in northwest McKenzie County and southwest Williams County, crossing the river. The green circles are producing wells. So there are 5 green circles in the northwest part of the field, and there are 3 green wells in the southeast part of the field. Those are the 8 active producers that we currently have. We have 3 active water injection wells. They are the blue triangles in the center of the field and in the south of the field. And then we have the pipelines map drawn on. Abandoned pipelines are in black, gray, and orange. The 4 active pipelines are in green and purple. The green being the active gathering systems, 1 in the northwest of the field, 1 in the southeast of the field, and the active injection system flow line, which is 2 lines that are in the center of the field.
Mark, is it a fair statement that Liberty continues with an active secondary recovery project in this field with 8 producers and 3 injection wells?
That is correct, sir. Our engineering calculations are that the injection withdrawal ratio for this field is still sub 0.5, meaning that we have not replaced all of the injected fluids, and so consequently there is a benefit to production for continued injection and secondary recovery.
Let's talk a little bit about the average daily production from the unit at this point in time. Your last figures that you have, can you tell us what that is?
Yes, if we can refer to Exhibit S8.
Okay.
That in 2022, when Liberty was operating the unit, you can see that quarterly production was in the range of 5,000 to 6,000 barrels of oil per quarter. After signing the contract operator agreement with Rocky Top, Liberty was prevented under that agreement from carrying on any production workovers. We just had to operate the field under compliance orders from the NDIC. So you can see that production in the first quarter of 2023 dropped to 4,000 barrels of oil for the quarter, and in 2023, Q2 dropped to just over 1,000 barrels of oil for the quarter. While Liberty and the NDIC were waiting on Rocky Top to post their bond, the field, quite frankly, has limped along at about 1,000 barrels of oil per quarter being produced. Once we made the decision to rescind the acquisition agreement and move ahead with the P&A work ourselves, we also returned 2 production wells that required workovers to production. And you can see that quarter to date, and this is through the middle of June rather, we have 3,000 barrels of oil producing, and our June month-to-date production, I can report, is currently at 64 barrels of oil per day, which is about 2,000 barrels of oil per month that we are producing at currently in the field.
If the unit is terminated, will that result in oil and gas not being produced that would otherwise be produced if you continue with the unit?
It would.
And in that respect, will termination result in waste?
It would.
Has Liberty given any consideration to contracting the size of the unit?
As we have testified before, that would be a very hard thing to do. When we bought this field, we had a payment deck. We do not have all the records of the leasehold's interests, and it would be a very hard, if not impossible job to actually deunitize the field and still operate it. And secondly, that since there is production coming from primarily two areas of the field, the northwest and the southeast, obviously owners in the central part of the field would be severely disadvantaged in any breakup of the unit.
And the reason they would be disadvantaged is that all during the time the unit has been in existence, all of the owners have been sharing in that production. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And contracting the size of the unit would result in some owners having previously shared their production, but not in turn recovering future production. Is that a fair statement?
That is correct.
Let's go on then to the last exhibit, S9, which constitutes some, summary and conclusion. Can you briefly discuss that exhibit for us?
Sure. One of the issues for consideration is obviously what future bond requirements the Commission is going to ask Liberty to have posted here, and that we have a request that having conducted this P&A work, that the Commission would reduce the bond from the current $2.4 million level that was applied previously. So in November 2021, 2.5 years ago, we had 9 non-compliant wells in the Glass Bluff Madison unit when the Commission increased the bond to $2.4 million. As I testified previously on our first exhibit, we submitted that bond the following month. In our current status, in April and May, we have completed all the downhole plugging work on the 9 non-compliant wells, and plugging reports have been submitted to the Commission on North Star. 3 of those have already been approved, the one that was done in 2023 and 2 of the ones that were done in April, May. Surface reclamation work has been started and is ongoing currently, and we are in the process of spending approximately $2.7 million on this reclamation work and P&A work. Our forward plan with the transaction to Rocky Top recently rescinded, we plan to continue operation of the Glass Bluff Madison unit with the 11 remaining wells, 8 producers, and 3 injectors to maintain some level of injectivity and pressure support. For each well, if downhole intervention is needed, economics will determine if a workover is justified or whether we will move ahead with P&A activities to plug and abandon that wellbore and its surface location. And our plan is that we will maintain compliance in the remaining 11 wells. And as a consequence, we would submit a request to the NDIC for an administrative order to reduce the amount of the bond required back down to $100,000, which is the minimum bond for the Glass Bluff Madison unit, due to all the non-compliant wells having been brought into compliance through our plugging and abandonment work that we've documented here.
Mr. Examiner, that's all the questions I have. We would offer exhibits S1 through S9.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Could I have you flip to your S7?
Sure.
Now that the transfer plans have been rescinded, looking at the Missouri Unit 1, the Erickson State Number 1, the O'Connor 21-2, and the O'Connor 41-2, those have produced, I think, one day in the past year, about 22 barrels oil. Is it Liberty's intent to turn those fully to production now?
It is our intent, we have actually stopped injection in the O'Connor injection well there because we had direct communication which had caused those wells to temporarily water out. And so we are actually producing those wells without injection support right now, currently, in that part of the field until we draw down the injected water and get back to a state of oil production.
And with those 3 injectors, is there any intent, aside from the O'Connor, to increase the volumes being injected?
No, it is just, well, it is just to use them to inject produced water from the Glass Bluff Madison unit. We don't anticipate bringing any water in from outside.
Are you familiar with the plugging operations for the DM Iverson 1-31?
I will need to look at my list, but I am familiar and have reviewed all of the plugging operations as we have done them, correct?
Was my understanding that there were some non-unitized perforations that were made in that well, and that they were supposed to be squeezed on plugging. I was looking at the plugging report that was submitted but not approved yet, and it appeared that a cement retainer was set, but then cement was just dump bailed on top of the retainer. Are you aware of why those perforations weren't squeezed?
I am not.
Is that something we could get a supplement for? On
Can, yes.
what occurred? I didn't see any documentation describing why it wasn't squeezed, so that would be something that we would want.
We will do that.
What was the name of the well, Stephen?
It is the DM Iverson
Okay.
1-31,
Thank you.
and it's file number 9755. Of those 8 producers, is Liberty intending to plug any of them, or are all 8 of them going to continue to be produced for now?
It is our intent to keep producing the wells and to keep the field in an economic status with production from all of those 8 wells as much as possible. And as I testified, on an individual well basis, if we require a workover, we will justify spending that investment on each well based on the production that we expect out of it. And if it is not going to meet our economic criteria, then we would look to P&A it. So as we have testified before, over time, over the years, we would anticipate that additional wells would be P&A'd as they come off of economic production.
Thank you. And has Liberty been in any more communication with Mr. Iverson out there?
Yes.
Has he been, I guess he's not here today,
Yeah.
so has he been satisfied with?
I believe so. I even communicated with my field manager just this morning coming in, and he was telling me of his communications with Mr. Iverson. So yes, I believe that the surface owners have been appreciative and of the work that we've done and the diligence that we have shown in the P&A work here. And obviously, in all these cases, we're having to work with the surface owners on how much of the roads they want to keep and keep active afterwards, and how much they want us to actually P&A. And those conversations have gone on with Mr. Iverson as well.
And when, if you know offhand, when is the last time that Rocky Top was actually responsive to communications from Liberty?
The last time that we had responsive communications was through the investment banker, and that was approximately a month ago. So I want to say in May, they had promised us, I believe it was May, it could have been April, but I think it was May, they had promised us to post bond by the end of the month. And that was not a direct communication, that was through the investment banker. We have sent recorded deliveries to their filing addresses. They have either not accepted them or not picked them up. So we have truly diligenced. I have one member of my staff who has made weekly calls, if not multiple calls, on a weekly basis in the December-January timeframe, waiting to get a response. I can tell you that I personally have left 3 messages for the president of Rocky Top and have never had my messages and my calls returned.
Okay, thank you.
Mark, on your exhibit S7, if you can help me understand a couple of things. You pointed out where the 3 active injection wells are.
Yeah.
So, but the blue or purple lines are active injection system flow lines. And there's several segments on here that don't appear to be connected to any injection well. Can you explain that?
Okay, those are abandoned. It's just the color coding there. The only 2 active water injection wells are the 2 short ones from, I can't even read the writing myself, but I believe it's the
You said
Lassie.
wells, you mean lines, right?
Sorry, lines. The
Yeah.
only 2 active lines are the 2 in the north central part of the field there, the 2 short blue lines. And I apologize here, the black is lines in the middle, the large ones are all abandoned. So there's 2 short, approximately 1 mile pipelines that are blue pipelines, and then there's 1 short green one in the northwest and 1 short green one in the southeast. And those are the only 4 active lines, and everything else has been capped and abandoned.
And the O'Connor injection well is a water truck to that location?
That is correct.
And the green dots you have on here, those wells are all capable of production?
One of them this month had a downhole problem, and we're currently evaluating it. But all of the remaining 7 are on production, on fluid production. As I said, we've had some water cut issues in the southeast part of the field, and so we have had limited oil production there, but those wells are producing in the sense that they are all producing fluids, actively producing fluids today.
So there's currently no temporarily abandoned wells in the unit?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
With your S7, could we get a digital submission of that, since with the printout, the black and blue, can't distinguish between them? Thanks.
Yep.
Mark, the issues you discussed with the watering out of the wells in the southeast, and currently, I think you indicated that you're not injecting into the O'Connor.
We just stopped literally in the last week.
Okay. Do you know, have you evaluated it yet, what your plans are with respect to possibly bringing that online and trying to resolve some of those direct breakthrough issues?
Yeah, we are actively producing all 3 of the producing wells around it to draw down the reservoir pressure while not injecting in the O'Connor injection well.
Okay. Do you anticipate resuming injection in that well?
Once we get oil cuts back, we would anticipate injection being restarted.
Any plans at this time to do anything differently to reduce that direct breakthrough issue?
Not plans. Obviously, there are things like polymer conformance or shutoffs, water shutoff treatments. Again, we will just evaluate that step by step. I'm very familiar with those kind of things. I've worked with that in prior lives in water flood operations. And so we will just evaluate it on a step-by-step basis, operating the field in full compliance and making appropriate decisions on capital deployment as we move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Lawrence, how long would you like to keep the record open?
Which time do you need, Mark, to get the additional information that they requested, the digital copy, and then also the information on the Ivers?
I think if you can give us a week and a half until the end of next week.
Yeah, I think the end of next week is the 28th or 29th. The 28th was Friday, but I might be wrong.
Today's the 20th, so next Thursday is 27th. 28th.
Yep,
You're right.
28th?
Yes, we'll keep the record open until the June 28th.
thank you.
Okay?
I think there's also some compliance issues, kind of different from the wells compliance status, more of like surface issues, weeds and stuff like that. Is there any plans to get those things taken care of?
Can I ask you, is your question specifically related to exhibit, what we presented on exhibit S4? Because it is not my understanding that we have any issues there that are a matter of compliance.
Yeah, I think there was just some other field inspector related issues with just upkeep on the sites and stuff like that still need to be resolved. That's my understanding.
I am not aware of anything.
Have letters been sent out, do you know?
No, I don't think they have yet, no.
Yeah, if something can be perhaps sent to us, or any concerns, we are not aware of anything. Our field manager is actively meeting with all the surface owners here. We are going through the process of getting affidavits from the and letters of consent from all the surface owners there in terms of how much work needs to be done on the abandonment, on the surface abandonment, and their written approval of what does not need to be abandoned. And so we are having those active discussions, so I am not aware of anything else. If there is, we would appreciate being notified of such.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our hearing for case number 30986.
Thank you.
Mark, good seeing you. Have a good trip back.
309, case number 30987, application of Grayson Mill Operating LLC for an order amending the field rules for the Ragged Butte Bakken Pool, McKenzie County, North Dakota, so as to create and establish an overlapping 2560 acre spacing unit comprised of sections 3, 4, 9, and 10, Township 151 North, Range 101 West, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on or near the section line between existing spacing units of said proposed overlapping 2560 acre spacing unit, such other relief. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Lawrence Bender, P.O. Box 1855, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this matter, case 30987, on behalf of Grayson Mill Operating LLC. We intend to call 3 witnesses. Ms. Amy Becker will be offering some land testimony. Ms. Catherine Henry will be offering some geologic testimony. And Ms. Kristen Elvig will be offering some engineering testimony. All 3 witnesses are on the phone and are ready to be sworn.
Ms. Becker,
Yes,
you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief.
yes, sir.
Amy, state your full name for the record.
Amy Becker,
And Amy, by whom are you employed?
Grayson Mill Energy.
What capacity?
I am a senior landman.
And in that capacity, have your qualifications been accepted as that of an expert?
Yes,
Offer the further testimony of this witness that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Amy, let's go to the packet of exhibit for case 30987. Let's skip the cover page and go to what's been marked as exhibit L1. Can you identify L1 and briefly discuss what's contained on that exhibit?
Yes. So L1 is a bird's eye view of our proposed 2560 acre spacing unit. That's comprised of sections 3, 4, 9, and 10, Township 151 North, 101 West.
And then let's go to L2, please.
L2 is depicts our existing, two of our existing 1280 acre spacing units. One of them being comprised of sections 3 and 10, the other comprised of 4 and 9, both 151 North, 101 West.
And L3.
L3 is the combined overlapping 2560 acre spacing unit under application, and it's comprised of sections 3, 4, 9, and 10, 151 North, 101 West, and combined, Grayson Mill would have a working interest of 73.78%.
No further questions of the land witness.
Any questions from the staff? Ms. Henry,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Catherine, state your full name for the record, please.
Catherine Henry,
And Catherine, by whom are you employed?
Grayson Mill Energy,
In what capacity?
geologist.
And in that capacity, you've testified before the commission previously?
Yes.
Had your qualifications accepted as that of an expert?
Yes.
For the further testimony of this witness, that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Catherine, let's go to the next exhibit in the packet, previously marked G1. Can you identify G1 and briefly discuss what's contained upon it?
Yes. So Exhibit G1 is a structure map of the Upper Bakken Shale with 25-foot contours. I've highlighted our proposed 2560 acre spacing unit in red, and then I've highlighted the type log in yellow, and it's the Bratcher State 10-24.
Okay, let's go to the next exhibit, G2. Once again, tell us what it is and what's contained on the exhibit.
This is the reference type log, Bratcher State 10-24. It's showing a Middle Bakken thickness of 31 feet, and the well in question will be targeting the Middle Bakken.
No further questions.
Any questions from the staff? Ms. Elvig,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Kristen, will you state your full name for the record, please?
Kristen Elvig,
And Kristen, by whom are you employed?
Grayson Mill Energy,
In what capacity?
reservoir engineer.
And in that capacity, have you testified before the commission previously?
Yes.
Had your qualifications accepted as that of an expert?
Yes.
Offer the further testimony of this witness that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Kristen, let's go to the next exhibit in the packet, E1. Can you tell us what that is?
Sure. This is a map view of the proposed section line well that we plan on drilling off of a 7-well pad. It's the dashed stick almost directly in the middle of the map, slightly east of the unit line.
Okay, and the other dashed lines in this exhibit, that's the development for the two 1280s, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, let's go to exhibit E2. Tell us what E2 is.
E2 is a wellbore schematic of our proposed casing design for the well, and it is a 10,000-foot lateral with a estimated 60 stages plug-and-perf completion design.
All right, and E3?
E3 shows the reservoir characteristics for the proposed well. The producing zone will be Middle Bakken Development Area, 2,560 acres, bottom hole pressure 0.7 psi per foot, net pay 31 feet, porosity 7.4%, and water saturation of 23%.
E4?
E4 shows the well economics for the proposed well. We're estimating an initial rate of 1,900 barrels of oil per day with a decline of 78.3 initially, a B exponent of 0.9 for a total oil EUR of 452 MBO and a equivalent EUR of 566 MBOE. Gross economics of $70 flat for oil and $2.50 gas flat, with a $8.44 million capital cost equates to a NPV 10 at 5.3 million, or sorry, an NPV 10 of 5.3 million and a IRR of 78%.
And is Exhibit GM1 a gas capture affidavit that the commission typically requires in these sorts of matters?
Yes.
In your opinion, will the requested relief prevent waste, protect relative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes.
No further questions. Offer the exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Kristen, could I have you flip to your Exhibit E1?
E1, yes.
The existing Middle Bakken wells, going from the east, the second one in, the Brocher 10-3, 3 TFH. It appears
Yes.
that was an existing Three Forks target. What,
Sorry, you said going from the east to the existing Bratcher to the second
10-3,
one. Yes, I see it. But I do. What was your question? Sorry.
it's listed as a Middle Bakken well. It appears that's a Three Forks well. Is there no intent, though, to continue developing Three Forks here?
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry about this. This exhibit should have that well colored as a orange stick. The Three Forks in this area is pretty thin, and it has not been as economic as the Middle Bakken. So because of that, we are planning on only doing Middle Bakken future development in the area.
And for the section line well, is that going to be batch drilled with your infill plan here?
Yes.
How far off the section line is it going to be drilled?
It's about 175, 180 feet.
And what was your planned spud date for this pad?
Our planned spud date, I believe, is around January 2025 currently.
Thank you.
Kristen, just a, I guess, quick clarification. When you were indicating your plans regarding the Three Forks, you indicated the Three Forks in the area is thin. I'm assuming you were referring to the first bench target in the Three Forks as being a little thinner?
Yes, the Three Forks one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that concludes our hearing for case number 30987. Case number 30988, application of Iron Oil Operating LLC for an order amending the field rules for the Bear Butte Bakken Pool and/or Red Ring Creek Bakken Pool, Mackenzie County, North Dakota, so as to create and establish an overlapping 38, 40-acre spacing unit comprised of sections 1, 2, 11, 12, 13, and 14, Township 148 North, Range 101 West, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on or near the section line between existing space units of said proposed overlapping 38, 40-acre spacing unit and such other relief. All interested parties, please come forward.
Lawrence Bender, P.O. Box 1855, Bismarck, appearing in this matter 30988 on behalf of Iron Oil Operating LLC. We intend to call three witnesses: Ms. Carla Butler, offering some land testimony, Mr. Marshall Deacon, be offering some geologic testimony, and Mr. Jason Foster will be offering some engineering testimony. Should be calling in. Oh, I guess this is my fault again. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I got a call-in number. It was down below here, so. Lawrence Bender. Hello? Carla?
Hi, this is Carla.
Okay, great. Just give me a moment here. We're ready, Mr. Examiner.
Okay. Ms. Butler,
Yes,
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
yes, I do.
Carla, would you state your full name for the record, please?
Carla Fowler,
And Carla, by whom are you employed?
Iron Oil Operating LLC,
And in what capacity?
as their land manager.
And in that capacity, have you testified before the commission previously?
I have.
And have you had your qualifications accepted as that of an expert?
I have.
Offer the further testimony of this witness that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Carla, let's turn to the packet of exhibits for 30988. Let's skip the cover page, the table of contents, and go to Exhibit L1. Can you tell us what Exhibit L1 is, please?
Yes, on Exhibit L1, it reflects our proposed spacing unit and also shows that it is encompassing the Bear Butte and Red Wing Bakken Pool in Mackenzie County, North Dakota.
All right, and L2?
L2 shows the existing 1920 spacing unit covering sections 2, 11, 14, and also 1, 12, and 13.
All right, and Exhibit L3?
L3 reflects the overall ownership within each 1920 spacing unit. 2, 11, and 14 reflected in yellow, where Iron Oil owns 76.79% gross working interest, and in sections 1, 12, and 13, identified in blue, Iron Oil owns 62.25%. As for the overall section line well covering the 3840 acre unit, Iron Oil owns 69.52% gross working interest.
No further questions for Ms. Butler.
Any questions from staff? Mr. Deacon,
Yes,
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Marshall, state your full name for the record.
Marshall Deacon.
And Marshall, by whom are you employed?
I'm a consulting geologist for Iron Oil.
Okay. And in this particular matter, you've been retained by Iron Oil, is that correct?
That is correct.
Have you testified before the commission previously?
I have not.
What I would like you to do, Marshall, is briefly highlight for the commission staff and the hearing examiner your educational background and work experience.
Yes, I have a degree from Oregon State University, a Bachelor of Science in Geology, and a master's degree from Northern Arizona University in Geology. And I have a little over 30 years of professional geologic experience, starting out with BP for about 10 years, and the last 20 have been with several different companies in the Denver area, working Rocky Mountain basins.
And how long have you been consulting for Iron Oil?
About close to 2 years now.
Okay. And in preparation for today's hearing, have you made a thorough study and review of all the relevant land matters concerning Iron Oil's request in these two cases?
Yes, I have.
And have you prepared or had prepared under your control and supervision some exhibits that you intend to sponsor?
Yes.
Offer the further testimony of this witness that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Marshall, let's go to the next exhibit in the packet. It's been previously marked as G1. Can you identify G1 for us and then briefly discuss what's contained upon it?
Yes, G1 is a structure map of the Middle Bakken Formation. It shows on there generally the structure of that unit is dipping slightly to the northeast there, and across the six sections, I mean. I don't think I have anything else to add on that.
It also shows the location of the type log that you're going to discuss in a little bit. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's identified, just north of section 2 there.
What's
Stevens State Well.
What's the significance of the green star? Do you know?
Actually, I do not know. I know there is a well there, but I do not know that significance. It's
Okay,
a vertical.
that's fine. Let's go to G2. Tell us what G2 is.
Yeah, G2 is the type log from that Stevens State, and there's the curves of the gamma ray on the left, resistivity to the right of the depth track, and a neutron porosity curve on the far right side. It shows the position of the upper Bakken Shale, middle Bakken member, and then the lower Bakken Shale there. Also exhibits just typical log responses, the petrophysical properties there, the middle Bakken, the reservoir interval, it's 25 to 30 feet thick, has porosity of 10% or so, and that is the primary target of this zone.
Okay, no further questions.
Any questions from the staff?
Marshall, bear with me here. Looking at your G1, you are in the vicinity of the Red Wing Creek impact structure, correct?
In the vicinity,
Have you looked at the horizontal well drilled east to west through sections 13 and 14? Have you evaluated that, the mud logs or anything from that well?
I have not in a lot of detail.
Do you anticipate having any significant effect from the impact where you're proposing to drill your wellbore from? I'm kind of cheating and looking ahead at E1 here, but looks like the plan is to drill the well from south to north. The south end of this 3840 would appear to it's possibly affected by the impact a little bit.
It's possible. I don't think there's a high risk of it though, but I guess it's possible that there's some effect in some additional fracturing there. But I expect the reservoir to be fairly consistent through there.
The type log you provided is at the north end of the proposed spacing unit, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Would you be able to identify a well to the south end of the spacing unit and possibly put together a cross-section for those two wells?
Yeah, there's a well, let me see, over here. That's 3. There's a well in section 16 that's a vertical well that, down in section 16 of the Township to the east. That,
I think if you can
I'm
identify,
sorry, section 18 there, that's one of the starred wells. Yeah, that can make for a good, decent cross-section that shows the southern part there. And there, the formation, Bakken, Middle Bakken's about the same thickness, all the zones and stuff. And thinking that's why it's fairly consistent across there.
I think I am going to ask that it be provided as a supplemental. I'd like to see a cross-section through this area due to the proximity to the impact structure.
And Mr. Suggs, the other well that Mr. Deacon identified, if he runs the cross-section from the type log to that other well, is that going to be sufficient, or do you have another well in mind? I don't want to get you something and then it isn't what you're looking for.
I don't think there's a perfect well to use, so that's probably okay. And I would ask that, Marshall, if you could look at anything to the south end of the spacing unit that you're proposing, or maybe more specifically to the southwest of that area as you move towards the impact structure.
Yeah, sure. Take a look.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Foster. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
My apologies. One additional request, since I'm asking for something anyway. On the G1, can I have a revised exhibit G1 that indicates what the structure map is on? I think he testified that it was the Middle Bakken structure, but it's not indicated on the exhibit itself. So.
And you want an exhibit, not testimony?
I'd like it on the exhibit for the well file.
Okay.
Thank you. Or for the case file.
Okay, Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Jason, state your full name for the record, please.
Jason Price Foster,
And Jason, by whom are you employed?
Iron Oil Operating LLC,
In what capacity?
as the operations manager.
And you're an engineer by education and training, is that correct?
Yes.
Have you ever testified before the commission previously?
No, I have not.
What I'd like you to do, Jason, is briefly highlight for the commission staff and the examiner your educational background and work experience.
Sure. I have a Bachelor of Science degree from the Air Force Academy, a Master of Science degree from Montana State University, and a Master of Engineering degree from the Colorado School of Mines. I've worked in the industry in the Northern Rockies region since 2007, and have been employed by Iron Oil for more than 5 years.
And in preparation for today's hearing, have you made a thorough study and review of all the relevant engineering matters concerning these requests?
Yes.
And have you prepared or had prepared under your control and supervision some exhibits you intend to sponsor?
I have.
Offer the further testimony of this witness that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Jason, let's go to the next exhibit, E1. Tell us what that is and briefly discuss what's contained upon it.
Sure. Yes, on Exhibit E1, just refer you to the green box labeled free near the bottom of the map, referring to what would be a planned likely 3-well pad for the proposed section line well, the 3-mile lateral that is shown in the heavy dark green dashes to the north.
Okay, and just to be clear here, the dark green line running north, that's the proposed section line well, and then there's 2 light green dashed lines that flank the dark green line. Those are increased density wells in the 1920s, is that correct?
Yes.
And those will be batch drilled, is that correct?
Yes, from the same path with the with the green box with the 3 label.
Let's go to the next exhibit, E2.
Okay, the exhibit E2 is just a proposed wellbore schematic, very similar to the other wells that we have drilled and completed in this area over the past many years. You can see, with the 15,000 foot lateral for the 3 miler, proposed would be roughly 90 stages, and with approximately 1,000 foot per stage, 1,000 pounds, excuse me, per stage of sand.
E3.
And then moving on to E3, just some of the basic highlights, some of them Marshall referred to previously, but just for reservoir estimation, looking at a Milwaukee thickness of somewhere between 25 to 35 feet. Our assumptions for porosity 8 to 9%, but bottom line EUR for this well of roughly 720,000 MBO.
And E4.
And on E4, again, some just basic engineering economics. You see the EUR there, 720 as previously estimated CapEx for DNC costs there of around 11 million, and then our various economic outputs listed in the right-hand column. And then also of note is gathering is available in the area for oil takeaway, gas takeaway, and our own produced water infrastructure.
Okay, and Exhibit E5A, is that a gas capture affidavit that the commission typically requires in these sorts of matters?
Yes, it is, and that's been in our past practice to have our gas sales lines connected so that we are ready for flowbacks.
In your opinion, will the requested relief prevent waste, protect relative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes.
No further questions. Offer the exhibits. Request the record remain open for the additional supplemental exhibits until June 28.
Exhibits are admitted and the record will remain open till June 28th. Any questions from the staff?
Jason, when these 1920s were set up by Iron Oil in case 29693, we had some structural exhibits noting that there, as Mr. Suggs alluded to, that there is a fault or fracture structure in the southern end around where these wells are going to land. Is there any precautions, or I guess what is Iron Oil going to do to adapt to the potential landing issues here?
Yeah, I think somewhere. We drilled some wells here, just a couple sections east. Referring back to Exhibit E1, last year we drilled 5 wells in Eastern Township, 148 North, 100 West, in sections 17 and 20. And so I think in line with the geologic aspect and looking back at last year's drilling program, I mean, that would be part of evaluating, do we foresee any additional complications from drilling over here in the subject and proposed 3-mile spacing units.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a plan for developing the 14 and 13 sections further, or are those going to be, I mean, how are we developing the adjacent acreage in 14 and 13.
This is Carla Butler, and as part of the land information, we have a farm out with True Oil, whereby they have farmed out their interest in both of those sections so that we can develop based on the 1920 acres. They don't have any additional plans for drilling any laydown wells in those two sections.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
That concludes our hearing for case number 30988. At this time, why don't we take a 10-minute break?
You all want to just stay on the phone while we take the break?
Yes.
Okay, we're back on the record, and we will call case number 30989. Application of Iron Operating LLC for an order amending the field rules for the partial Bakken Pool, Montreal County, North Dakota, so as to create and establish the following. 1, 6 19-20 acre spacing units comprised of sections 1, 12, and 13, sections 2, 11, and 14, sections 24, 25, and 36, Township 154 North, Range 89 West, sections 1, 2, and 13, sections 2, 11, and 14, and sections 24, 25, and 36, Township 153 North, Range 89 West, authorizing the drilling of a total not to exceed 4 horizontal wells on each proposed 19-20 acre spacing unit, and 3 overlapping 19-20 acre spacing units comprised of sections 15, 22, and 27, sections 23, 26, and 35, Township 154 North, Range 89 West, and sections 15, 22, and 27, Township 153 North, Range 89 West, authorizing the drilling of a total not to exceed 4 horizontal wells on each proposed overlapping 19-20 acre spacing unit, and/or such further relief. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Lawrence Bender, P.O. Box 1855, appearing this matter, case number 30989 on behalf of Iron Oil Operating LLC. Will are the same 3 witnesses in this case as we had in the previous case.
Just a reminder, they're still under oath.
Okay. Carla, let's go to Exhibit L1, briefly, identify and briefly discuss.
Yes, on Exhibit L1 reflects the field outlines located in Montreal County and also our proposed 19-20 acre spacing units that are in partial field.
L2?
On L2, it is a depiction of our proposed 19-20 acre spacing units that are overlapping the existing 1,280 acre spacing units. Our 19-20 acre proposed spacing units are noted in red, and in blue dashed lines are the existing 1,280 acre spacing units.
Okay, and L3, and I will note that Carla had some concern that this might look cluttered, and I said, don't worry about it all, it'll be just fine. So if it's cluttered, you can blame me for that. So Carla, you want to take a look at L3 and try to go through that for us?
Yes, on L3, it shows the 5 proposed 19-20 acre spacing units in Township 154 North, Range 89 West. The 19-20 acre proposed spacing units are noted in red, and Iron Oil ownership and other owners are also noted in red in the adjacent boxes. The existing 1,280 acre spacing units are also shown in the blue dashed line, and the ownership within those 1,280 acre spacing units are shown in the blue text boxes.
And Carla, you don't need to go through the ownership in the underlying 1280s, but why don't you very quickly go through the 1920s, what Iron Oil's ownership is there?
Yes. In sections 1, 12, and 13, Iron Oil owns 43.539%. In sections 2, 11, and 14, Iron Oil owns 71.2%. And I would like to note that my text box is kind of covering up the bottom section line well of section 14. So there is a red line underneath that text box. In sections 15, 22, and 27, Iron Oil owns 21.875%. In sections 23, 26, and 35, Iron Oil owns 33.681%. And in sections 24, 25, and 36, Iron Oil owns 31.25%. I would also like to note that we have been in contact with Proven Petroleum, who does operate the existing wells, the Houndstead and the Bergstrom Family Trust wells in sections 26 and 27, and they are agreeable to our proposed plan.
Okay, let's go to L4.
On L4, similar to L3, the the red outlines are identifying the 4 proposed 1920 acre spacing units, and the outlines in blue hash are those that are the existing 1,280 acre spacing units. Iron Oil's ownership in the 1,920 acre spacing units covering sections 1, 12, and 13, they own 87.759%. In 2, 11, and 14, we own 59.808%. In sections 15, 22, and 27, Iron Oil owns 30.209%. And in 24, 25, and 36, Iron Oil owns 74.743%. I would also like to note that we have worked with Hunt Oil, and with this development plan, which will coincide with their existing development plan in this area as well. Also, in sections 22 and 27, there is an existing 1,280 acre unit that will allow up to 3 wells in that unit. Iron Oil would like to maintain that spacing unit to drill one of our first wells in this area as a proof of concept well. But overall, we do plan on drilling an additional 4 wells in the 1920 acre spacing unit. As far as the section 22 and 27 wells, that does include the Patton 127H well bore that is operated by Hunt Oil. We're planning on including all of that ownership and also drilling a 1920 overlapping that spacing unit.
And Carly, you've alluded to this, but in a number of cases, your proposed 1920s are that Iron Oil has less than a majority interest. You talked about Hunt. I assume you've had discussions with Hunt with respect to operatorship. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, that is correct. They are allowing Iron Oil to be the operator of sections 15, 22, and 27. Hunt Oil does also have a case on the docket where they are proposing a 1920 covering sections 3 and 10 of 153.89 and section 34 of 154.89. So that we have been working together on this development plan.
And with respect to companies other than Hunt, where Iron Oil might own less than a majority interest, is it a fair statement that Iron Oil will have discussions with the working interest owners to determine who should be the operator?
Yes, we will.
No further questions of this witness.
Any questions from the staff?
Carla, did I hear you correctly that you said Hunt wants to drill a well on 22 and 27?
No, Iron Oil would like to drill that well in sections 22 and 27. And Hunt Oil is agreeable to that 1,280 acre well.
So is that depicted in an
And
is that depicted?
I'm sorry.
Is that well depicted in an upcoming exhibit?
Well,
It is not. We felt that it might confuse our overall 1920 acre development plan, but we can definitely amend our exhibit to reflect that well.
and Mark, maybe I'm answering a question that isn't being asked, but as you probably know, the 1280 already exists, and we just don't want that dissolved. But if you want an exhibit that shows where the well would be drilled, we can provide that.
Yeah, you're correct, because we typically, when we go from one size spacing unit developed to another one, we limit or terminate a spacing that doesn't have any
Right.
wells in it, because we don't want people flipping back and forth.
Right. But
So-
here we're letting you know up front, we do want 22 and 27.
Yeah,
as a
so we
1280.
would want an exhibit that shows that development on that 1280 along with the 1920 development to see how it's all gonna fit together.
Sure, we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you can call your next witness.
Marshall, let's go to G1. Why don't you briefly discuss what's contained on G1?
Yeah, this is a map of the top of the Bakken structure. Contour interval on this is 25 feet. The dots in brown there are vertical wells, vertical and horizontal wells that just as a data point for this map. A lot more wells to the west with partial field, of course, and then decreasing out to the east. The dip, though, here is up towards the east. It's a slight, just coming out of the basin, a slight dip.
Okay, G2.
G2 is a pipe log. Here, pipe log is identified down in the southwest part of unit that we're talking about. It's a vertical well there. Again, gamma ray is on the left side, a resistivity curve is in the middle, and in this case it's a density log on the far right, and it exhibits the upper Bakken, middle Bakken intervals, and the lower Bakken, and all three of those units are consistent thickness across this area generally.
No further questions.
Any questions from the staff?
Marshall, with respect to the majority, well, all of these spacing units really, they're on the kind of eastern flank of where the Bakken has been developed to date.
Yes.
Has it been looked at what that water cut looks like? And does Iron Oil have plans to deal with that? In previous cases, it's kind of been described as the line of death. The economics get really challenged, and I realize you're not the engineer with the economics, but are you anticipating high water cuts, and do you know if that's been evaluated?
Yeah, we're anticipating increasing water cuts from west to east across the block. The western side should be, fairly normal, and then increasing up to a higher percent that would, have more water, need more water handling.
Other than the increased water in the reservoir, is there anything else geologically significant as you move off to the east?
No, it seems. There's some other things that are of interest, but the maturity is a little low, so the contributions from the north and from the upper and lower Bakken is decreasing to the east, but here the oil has been generally migrated up into the B or into the middle Bakken through here. So it's just a decrease in oil saturation as you go to the east. Increasing water saturation. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can call your next witness.
Jason, E1.
Yes, just referring you to E1, just shows a proposed long-term development plan within the proposed 3-mile spacing units with 4 wells per spacing unit coming from 2 or 4 well pads. Again, that's to be determined in the future. Maintain roughly 500 feet or so off of the section lines. So again, this is a rough long-term development plan for this area. And just referring to the proof of concept well that Carla discussed earlier, and also noting the need for an additional exhibit, but it's related to that, testing out the plans with that proof of concept well in section 2227 that's already been discussed.
Okay, let's go to E2.
E2 shows what we would envision for planning for a proposed well for these 15,000-foot laterals with anticipated depths for surface casing, the total depth that we would be drilling in our target, the total vertical depth of roughly 9,000 feet in this area. Again, this is all preliminary for the drilling, and then also for what we would anticipate for our proposed completion plan that I'll outline on the bottom of the page for number of zones and density for spacing, profit, you name it.
Okay, E3.
And then on E3, just some of the highlights from our basic assumptions plan and some of our reservoir modeling, and anticipating, a thickness of roughly 35 feet for the Milwaukee, with oil saturation and porosity noted at the bottom of that particular table, looking at an EUR for 650 MBO, and anticipating drilling and completion costs of roughly $10 million per well.
And Exhibit E4A, is that a gas capture affidavit that the commission typically requires in these sorts of matters?
Yes, and so note that we are working with the PCAM pipeline. There is infrastructure in this area on the west side of the proposed development, which also kind of ties in again with where we would anticipate testing out the concept in this area, so that we build to where the infrastructure currently is.
In your opinion, will the requested relief prevent waste, protect relative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes.
Okay, that's all the questions I have, Mr. Examiner. We'd offer each one of the exhibits that was discussed by the three witnesses and request that the record remain open until June 28th for the submittal of the supplemental exhibit.
The exhibits are admitted and the record will remain open till June 28th. Any questions from the staff?
Jason, what's the timing of spudding that proof of concept well?
Once we have the necessary approvals and agreements, we have considered even this fall development. This fall, if we can pull it off.
And then how long would you be evaluating that before considering coming back here for any of the 1920s?
I would say it would be over the winter. Once we have drilled that and complete that proof of concept well, call it a wintertime project, and we're getting everything lined out. And if it was a go, then we would imagine, some more development in next year, at this time.
And since you're stepping out against the productive extent of the Bakken here, would any of these be batch drilled, or would it be one well in a 1920 at a time for evaluation periods?
I would imagine initially we would be looking at one, maybe two initially, so that we could gather as much data as we could, since this is also, outside of where we have been operating for the last few years. We have other aspects of vendors, support services that are a little bit different for us, but we've proven what we've done when we were looking at, in the previous case, of how we can drill economic wells, but can sometimes be, overlooked or underappreciated areas. And so we would take the same kind of systematic approach to economically drill and develop, and then take a hard look on what that would look like for future development. So that's why we're optimistic, given our team and our track record. But obviously, from the engineering, geology, and economic standpoint, it all has to make sense. So, but that's why we'd like to dip our toe in the water, if you will, and give it a go.
And on your exhibit E3 for your type well data,
Yes.
Is that UR oil based on expectations from the partial field, or is that a best case for this actual area?
That is the assessed case that we have internally done from our old independent analysis of available data.
Thank you.
Jason, the proof of concept well you want to drill, I assume would be from one of the pads you have depicted on E1 on the south side of 27-153-89?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes our hearing for case number 30989. Case number 30990, application of Hunt Oil Company for an order for the partial Bakken Pool, Montreal County, North Dakota, to create and establish two overlapping 1920 acre spacing units comprised of section 34, Township 154 North, Range 989 West, and sections 3 and 10, Township 153 North, Range 89 West, and sections 23, 26, and 35, Township 153 North, Range 89 West, authorizing the drilling of a total not to exceed 3 wells on each proposed overlapping 1920 acre spacing unit, and such further relief as appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Lawrence Bender, P.O. Box 1855, Bismarck, appearing this matter, case 30990 on behalf of Hunt Oil Company. We intend to call 3 witnesses. Mr. Matt Bodley will be offering some land testimony. Mr. Joe Bauman will be offering some geologic testimony. And Ms. Emily Worth will be offering some engineering testimony. All 3 witnesses will appear by telephone. Excuse me.
Are they available?
Yeah, they're on.
Okay. Mr. Bodley,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Matt, state your full name for the record, please.
Matt Bodley,
And Matt, by whom are you employed?
Oil Company,
In what capacity?
land manager.
And in that capacity, have you testified before the commission previously?
I have.
Had your qualifications accepted as that of an expert?
I have.
Offer the further testimony of this witness that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Matt, let's turn to Exhibit 1 in the packet. I'd like you to identify that exhibit and briefly discuss what's contained upon it.
Exhibit 1 is a regional location map showing partial field in Montreal County.
And Exhibit 2.
Exhibit 2 shows Hunt's existing 1280s in blue outline with our proposed 1920s outlined in red with Hunt's working interest in each. Hunt's working interest in the 1920 being sections 34, 3, and 10 would be 80.5%, and working interest in the 1920 being 23, 26, and 35 would be 51.5%.
No further questions?
Any questions from the staff? Mr. Bauman,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Joe, state your full name for the record, please.
Joe Bauman,
And Joe, by whom are you employed?
Hunt Oil Company,
In what capacity?
geologist.
And in that capacity, have you testified before the commission previously?
Yes, I have.
Had your qualifications accepted as that of an expert?
Yes.
Offer the further testimony of this witness that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Joe, let's go to the next exhibit in the packet, Exhibit 3. I'd like you to identify Exhibit 3 and then briefly discuss what's contained upon it.
Exhibit 3 is a structure map on top of the Bakken Formation in partial field. Contour intervals are at 50 feet in subsea depth. Middle Bakken laterals are indicated with blue, and Three Forks laterals are indicated by the red well. The oil field boundaries are indicated by the bold blue line. following the section lines. HOC operated units are indicated by the bold black polygon, and the proposed 1920 units are indicated by the red shaded polygon. And the type log for this area is indicated at the bottom of the map by the red circle.
Okay, let's go to Exhibit 4.
Exhibit 4 is a type log as previously indicated on Exhibit 3. And Track 1 is gamma ray, Track 2 are porosity logs, and Track 3 are resistivity. The Bakken shales are indicated by the gray shading. The middle Bakken is our target interval, shaded in yellow. Three Forks appears non-productive in this area. And lastly, the Bakken pool is defined as 50 feet above the top of the Bakken formation to above the top of the Burt Bear formation. Those are indicated by the bold black dashed line.
No further questions of the geologic witness.
Any questions from staff? Ms. Worth,
Yes.
you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter is true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do.
Emily, state your full name for the record, please.
Emily Worth,
And Emily, by whom are you employed?
Plant Oil Company,
What capacity?
reservoir engineer.
And in that capacity, you've testified before the commission previously and had your qualifications accepted as that of an expert?
I have.
Offer the further testimony of this witness that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Emily, let's go to the next exhibit in the packet, Exhibit 5. Identify that exhibit and then briefly discuss what's contained upon it.
Exhibit 5 is the proposed development for proposed overlapping 1920 acre spacing unit. Our existing 1280 spacing units are shown in blue lines. The proposed 1920 acre spacing units are shown in the dashed red lines. The proposed wells for these spacing units are shown in the dashed orange line. The existing HOC operated wells in the area are shown with the black lines, and the existing non-HOC wells are shown in light gray.
All right, Exhibit 6.
Exhibit 6 is a typical Middle Bakken wellbore schematic for a horizontal well in the area.
Number of frac stages you anticipate for a 3-mile lateral?
92.
Okay, and Exhibit 7.
Exhibit 7 are the estimated reservoir properties, reserves, and economics for a typical Middle Bakken well in a 1920 acre spacing unit. The original oil in place is 23.9 million barrels of oil. The EUR for an anticipated 15,000 foot lateral is 485,000 barrels of oil, and the PV10 for this well would be $3.9 million.
And then Exhibit 8, is that a gas capture affidavit that the commission typically requires in these sorts of matters?
Yes.
In your opinion, will the requested relief prevent waste, protect relative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes.
No further questions. Offer the exhibits.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Emily, Hunt, I'm looking at Exhibit 5. Hunt operates the existing 1280 wells in each of these proposed spacing units, right?
That is correct.
How are the economics on those doing, on those 1280s? Are they marginal economically, or?
I would have to get back to you on that. I don't have the actual economics for those existing PDP wells on me.
Okay. Are you doing anything different with your completions in the area other than going for the 3-mile lateral, extra lateral length from the individual wellbores?
Yes, our completions are vastly different from the original completions done in the area.
Do you mind summarizing a couple of the things you're changing?
We're increasing proppant and fluid volumes as well as stage count.
Okay. And then I guess when you were discussing your Exhibit 6, you indicated 92 frac stages. It looks like the exhibit has 150, but can you confirm which one of those numbers is correct?
That's 150 foot
Oh,
frac stage spacing.
just read it right. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Emily, when Hunt goes to develop this acreage, will they drill all 3 wells in a batch fashion?
Yes.
And do you know where the surface locations are gonna be or anticipated to be?
Not yet.
Will they be from one location for each,
They will.
for each spacing unit?
Yes, there will be one location for each unit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that concludes our hearing for case number 30990. Case number 30991, application of Continental Resources, Inc. for an order allowing the Thorpe Federal 228H well located in section 21 Township 148 North, Range 97 West, Dunn County, North Dakota, with a portion of the keel of the lateral potentially not completely isolated by cement to be completed and to produce as an exception to the applicable field rules, permit conditions, or other well location restriction, or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been dismissed. That concludes our hearing for case number 30991. Case number 30152, temporary spacing to develop an oil and/or gas pool discovered by the White Rock Oil and Gas LLC, 21X-21F, Grassy Butte Well, northeast, northwest quarter, section 21, township 146 north, range 99 west, McKenzie County, North Dakota, to find the field limits and enact such special field rules as may be necessary. This case has been continued to our December hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30152. Case number 30914. Application of Enerplus Resources USA Corp. for an order for the Murphy Creek Bakken Pool, Dunn County, North Dakota as follows. 1. Create and establish an overlapping 1920 acre spacing unit comprised of sections 211 and 14, Township 144 North, Range 95 West, authorizing the drilling of a total not to exceed 4 horizontal wells on said proposed overlapping 1920 acre spacing unit. And 2. Create and establish an overlapping 1920 acre spacing unit comprised of sections 23, 26, and 35, Township 144 North, Range 95 West, authorizing the drilling of a total not to exceed 5 horizontal wells on said proposed overlapping 1920 acre spacing unit. Such further relief is appropriate. This case has been continued to the July hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30914. Case number 30863. Application of Coda Resources Operating LLC pursuant to NDAC 430203-88.1 for an order of the Commission authorizing the drilling of the Stout 5-1 saltwater disposal from a surface hole location in the Lot 3, Section 5, Township 160 North, Range 102 West, to a bottom hole location in the southeast quarter, Section 5, Township 160 North, Range 102 West, Fertile Valley Field, Divide County, North Dakota, in the Dakota Group pursuant to NDAC Chapter 430205, and providing such other and further relief. This case has been dismissed. That concludes our hearing for case number 30863. Case number 30992, application of Zargon Oil, North Dakota, Inc. for an order authorizing the conversion of the E.J. Phelan 25-6 well with a location in the southeast northwest quarter of Section 25, Township 163 North, Range 83 West, Bottineau County, North Dakota, Haas Madison Unit, for the injection of fluids into the unitized formation pursuant to NDAC Chapter 430205, and such other relief as is appropriate. This case has been continued to the July hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30992. I'm now going to jump ahead to a case that was originally scheduled to be called in the administrative docket, has been remanded to the regular docket. Case number 30997, application of Formenta Operations LLC pursuant to Section 430203-88.1 of NDAC for an order of the Commission authorizing the drilling of the LAR-1 saltwater disposal from surface hole location in the southeast-southwest quarter, Section 23, Township 162 North, Range 94 West, to a bottom hole location in the northwest southwest quarter, section 23, township 162 north, range 94 west, Larson Field, Burke County, North Dakota, in the Dakota Group pursuant to NDAC Chapter 430205, and providing such other and further relief. I believe the commission has a statement to make on this case.
Yes, a landowner comment letter was submitted, but due to the federal holiday and the incorrect commission department number listed in the commission address on the landowner notice letters, the comment letter was not received prior to 5 p.m. yesterday. So this case is continued to the July 2024 docket to appropriately include the comment letter into the record.
Okay. This case is continued to the July hearings. That concludes the hearing for case number 30997. Moving to the supplement. Case number 30854, application of WPX Energy Williston LLC for an order for the Hart Butte Bakken Pool and/or Wolf Bay Bakken Pool, Dunn County, North Dakota, to create and establish an overlapping 2880 acre spacing unit comprised of sections 29, 30, 31, and 32 in the west half of sections 28 and 33, township 147 north, range 92 west, authorizing the drilling of a total not to exceed 17 wells on said proposed overlapping 28 acre spacing unit and such further relief as appropriate. This case has been continued to our July hearings. Concludes the hearing for case number 30854. The next case, case number 30914, has already been called. Case number 30921, in the matter of the petition for a risk penalty of SOGC Inc., requesting an order authorizing the recovery of a risk penalty from certain non-participating owners as provided by NDCC 380808 and the drilling and completing of the Porcupine 4-19H well located in the space unit described as sections 18 and 19, township 146 north, range 97 west, Little Knife Block and Pool, Dunn County, and such other relief as is appropriate. This case has been continued. That concludes our hearing for case number 30921. Case number 30922, in the matter of the petition for a risk penalty of SOGC Inc., requesting an order authorizing the recovery of a risk penalty from certain non-participating owners as provided by NDCC 380808 and the drilling and completing of the Porcupine 5-19H well located in the spacing unit described as sections 18 and 19, township 146 north, range 97 west, Little Knife Block and Pool, Dunn County, North Dakota, and such other relief as is appropriate. This case has been continued. Concludes our hearing for case number 30922. Case number 30923. In the matter of the petition for a risk penalty of SOGC Inc., requesting an order authorizing the recovery of a risk penalty from certain non-participating owners as provided by NDCC 380808 in the drilling and completing of the Porcupine 6-19H well located in a space unit described as sections 18 and 19, township 146 north, range 97 west, Little Knife Block and Pool, Dunn County, North Dakota, such other relief as is appropriate. This case has been continued. That concludes our hearing for case number 30923. That concludes our hearings for the day.